Right. So, Jared, how are you?
Good to be with you, Richard. Although
I
I'm
think,
jealous that you guys are in Albania today. It's a beautiful place.
thank you. Thank you very much for your time. We are here, in fact, indeed, in Tirana today, seeing how amazing is this country, which, by the way, you have been the first one telling me about it for the last few years. So you are already a pioneer, and you were able to bring a lot of press attention to this country. So tell me first, how did you discover this country, and why did you decide to invest here?
So, like all things in life, it always just kind of takes its course. I was on a vacation after we left government in the summer of 2021. We were on our friend Nat Rothschild's boat. We got picked up in Montenegro, and then we started sailing over to Corfu, and we spent a couple days in Albania. One of the nights there, Prime Minister Rama came to the boat. I had not met him when I was in government, but I was very, very impressed with his vision for what he wanted to do with Albania. I really didn't know anything about the country. I didn't understand the history, and the darkness of the history with the communism and the terrible leadership actually led to it being fully undeveloped as a nation. But Eddie came in. He has one of the cool things I was attracted to is the fact that he seemed like a very skilled politician, as a very strong and smart leader, but also the fact that he was an artist. I thought it'd be very cool to see what a country really led and built by an artist could be, somebody with amazing taste and great creativity. And so I was just intrigued by it. And then before we went to Corfu, we stopped in Butrent, which was also a spectacular site, and just really felt to me like it showed the potential of the country. So much amazing beauty, the water. We did a lot of swimming, a lot of hiking. The country just had incredible natural beauty, but it seemed like a place that nobody knew or understood. And so didn't think much about it for about a year. And then about a year later, we started looking at opportunities in the Balkans. And the partner who's leading that effort, I said, you know what, let's go down to Albania. I had such a good experience there. Go check it out, see if there's something there. And we were immediately drawn to where they were building an airport in Vlore. And obviously a country is going to build an airport by the coast in the place that they think is the most beautiful. So we went there, we looked for opportunities, and we were able to find some incredible opportunities. So this really came from obviously a passion, and it came from the desire to build something that I think could be truly unique in the world.
Jared, you are an expert on understanding governments, of course, and trends regarding countries. So how did you get comfortable with this market? And until today, what is your experience on the ground? Because we spoke a lot about the opportunities, but you are the doer. You started something and you're implementing. So tell us more about how things are going on the ground.
Yeah, well, like most things that end up well, you have moments in between where you're like, is this really worth it? You know, what the hell am I doing this for? But I was just very intrigued. We spent about a year really understanding the market, the demographics, the trends. The country's growing twice the rate of Europe. But then you have to say, okay, is this country, which has a little bit of a mixed reputation historically, is it going to be a clean place? Is the government going to do what they say they're going to do? Are you going to be able to get approvals without having to play funny games? Is there going to be, different, are they going to deliver on their promises? And we really spent a year getting to know them, getting to understand it, studying the market before we went through. My partner, Asher, who's really been leading this effort, was the man with the boots on the ground. But the more we got into designing, the more we fell in love with what we were creating, and we felt like the environment was perfect. But without the great work of the team on the ground, our partners on the ground, and the government really creating a very pro-growth environment, we would not have engaged in the project. And one of the great affirmations too is when it was announced we were doing this, the New York Times said, oh, there was all these laws that were changed that benefit your project. Did this happen for you? And I said, I didn't even know about these laws, but I called my partner and said, no, these are the reasons why we decided to go forward with this. He said, and the New York Times even acknowledged that these are pro-growth laws. These are laws that people put in place in order to encourage development, encourage change. I was listening a little bit to the last panel, and they're talking about what needs to happen in order for places to rise. And the government in Albania has been doing all those things. And that leads to investment, that leads to prosperity, that leads to attention, that leads to tourism, it leads to job growth, it leads to wage growth. So all of the right things are happening here. And so I've been very, very proud to highlight it. And I get a lot of great feedback from the Albanians when I go to the country, and the Albanian diaspora. Even yesterday, I met a gentleman who said, I'm from Albania. I'm going to go this summer back to Vlorë. I've never been there. I'm hearing incredible things, and really thank you for bringing so much promotion to our country, which I think is a total gem of a country.
Tell us more about this project, which is happening in probably one of the most beautiful areas of the country, but also one of the most beautiful areas in the Mediterranean Sea. So could you share more with us about the project and how your plan are to maintain, which is essential, the natural environment through the development process?
So the natural environment and what makes this spot so special is the environment that's there. And so we've hired Arup, who's one of the leading engineers in Europe, to help us with the right conservation programs. If we don't respect the environment, the development we're going to create there won't be as special. So we need to make sure we really preserve the environment. There was actually a story saying we were hurting some river delta, but that turns out that was 8 miles away. It had nothing to do with our project. So I think we've been able to get people to acknowledge that. And when we unleash the plans, people will see how we've embraced the local environment, and we've really tried to do something that will enhance. But it all really comes down to location, Richard. So this project is 60 miles from Italy, 60 miles from Corfu. And like I said, there's a new airport that is going to be opening very soon. That's going to be a 10-minute drive from this project. And so the natural beauty is incredible. The location's incredible. And you're really right in the middle of the Mediterranean. But again, because of the bad history that this country had up until the 90s, it really was undeveloped. So you don't really get an opportunity like this in the Mediterranean, where there's just been a ton of development, and then everything's over-regulated, where nothing can get built and nothing can get done. So those things are coming together, and we were, I think, we felt empirically like this made a lot of sense. And so we've been spending a lot of time and effort and capital to try and bring this forward. And I think we'll be able to do something very spectacular, which we'll announce very soon.
And who will be the buyers? Who will be the visitors? How do you hope to attract them?
I only really know of one, which is myself and my wife and our family. So we're really trying to design this in a way to be a place that we would want to be, a place that we would want to spend the summer. And as I tell different friends and I show them different renderings of what we're doing, they all say, oh, can we get a place there next to you? So I really think we'll build a tremendous community. We're attracting some of the great brands in the world who want to be a part of this. And I think it's going to be incredible. So we're really designing this as the place that we would want to spend our summers. And I believe if we execute that well, a lot of other families will look to make this a place where they'll either want to have a home or they'll want to be visiting with great frequency.
When you started Affinity Partners, we were talking together, and I don't think real estate were in your plan and your strategy. So how come you decided to make this exception? And can you tell us more about what the other investment are you making or considering to make in Europe, and which other opportunities you see in this part of the world?
Sure. So when I was in real estate, the thing that I was always attracted to were markets that I felt were very undervalued or underseen, but had all the right fundamentals. So when I was in New York, I was buying in Soho before Soho really became, really tops. I was buying in Brooklyn before Brooklyn became exciting. And then I was buying in Jersey City before Jersey City became exciting. All of those different trends have the same thing with Albania, where it is all the right fundamentals, just people aren't trained to understand it. And so as we go forward, people will start seeing it and they'll be a part of it. So number one, it felt like, we were 10 years ahead of the trend. And then number two was the scale and the size. And then the country just having all of the right elements from a governance perspective to push it forward. So far, we've had very good success in Europe. We haven't done a lot, but we invested in a company called eGym in Germany, which is crushing it. El Catterton just invested in the deal at almost twice the value. We came in about a year and a half ago, and they did that about 6 months ago, and the company now is offers at almost twice that value. Their growth has been extraordinary from a revenue and a profitability perspective, and they're now expanding in the US, which is incredible. We also just invested in Revolut, which is, I think, one of the best, if not the best, new age fintech platforms that's been built, I think, in the world. It's growing like crazy, and very, very proud to be a part of that. So I think in Europe, there's definitely opportunities. Right now, we're very focused on US, but I think there definitely are some opportunities in Europe that we'll look at that we think are, great founders, great companies with great potential.
Jared, being in conversation with you, I cannot avoid to ask you a question about is your investment strategy changed since your father-in-law, President Trump, came to office? And if yes, what do you see now your strategy with Europe and other markets?
So the answer is we continue to do what we're doing. We've invested now almost $2.5 billion. So I'd say over half of that is in the US. We have a bunch of international investments where we think we find markets and opportunities that are mispriced. There is one thing I'm looking at from a more of a personal interest. I don't know if it will qualify for the fund, but obviously been helping Steve and to promote the Abraham Accords to make the ones that are existing stick, and then also to find new opportunities. So I have a partner, my partner Asher, who I mentioned before. He's actually of Moroccan descent and actually of Syrian descent. So we've been looking, maybe there's some opportunities to bring investment to Morocco, a country that I know you're very proud of, to really help them create dividends from the Abraham Accords. And so to show the people there that there can be great rewards, because leaders who join the Abraham Accords, it shows that they're thinking about the future, they're pushing for stability. It shows a lot of wisdom and a lot of forward thinking. So those are the environments where I think investors would want to be in. And I have a lot of American investors who are very who love the Abraham Accords, who want to join us in that. So we're looking at opportunities to invest in countries who have joined the Abraham Accords, but we're also looking at opportunities to invest in countries that might join the Abraham Accords and to create economic packages to incentivize them. So another one of my partners is Syrian, and he said, Jared, we should put together a big investment package maybe for Syria, so that if they join the Abraham Accords, they could have a big incentive to do it. How amazing would it be to have a Muslim and Jewish firm working, Jewish partners, with American, working together to try to bring investment there. So something we're looking at. Obviously, there are some complications, but I think there's a ton of potential there. And if they were to join the Abraham Accords, I think that there's a lot of people who would want to invest there to help give them the best chance to achieve their full potential. So we're looking at that. But obviously, I think right now with all the, President Trump's policies, I think America is going to boom. We're seeing that now in the stock market. We're seeing that in the valuations. There's a lot of really exciting things happening in AI and in the infrastructure around AI. So we're working on that. We've done a whole bunch of investments in insurance, which we're finding great returns on. We did a great investment in Israel in that. So we're continuing to be very opportunistic, but I do think that obviously, Richard is somebody who helped me with the Abraham Accords and sees the passion and the potential around it. If we can use investment as a way to bring people together, build relationships, and to build economies, ultimately we can create a coalition of people who are trying to find progress and prosperity for their people over the historic last 70 plus years, which has been about separation of people by religions and politicians using that to cause distractions and maybe distort from their shortcomings. And so when people find investment, it brings jobs, it shows growth. And if you could help countries grow that are making peace, I think that's an incredible thing. So more of a passion than necessarily a full affinity focus, but something I'm definitely paying attention to and would love to see happen. If we can use some investment to help accelerate peace or to grow peace, I think there's no better thing to do there.
Jared, thank you for being a peace builder. Thank you for bringing peace for prosperity. Thank you for being with us today in Tirana. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, Richard. All the best. See you soon, my friend.